Hi, Seiji here. I'll be showing how I got rank 1 in Fiend Hunt with 205 mil damage. This team can hit at least 211, but it requires crit fishing. But first and foremost, I will show you the gear first. Helena will have, whatever gear as possible. She needs plus 5, obviously, just for the rotation and the SP check. In this case, her gear doesn't really matter that much. She just needs to survive at least. Cry, you have whatever damage gear you would have, obviously. And and next is Sylvia. Sylvia, I choose the Sword Queen because obviously the best option would be Admiral in this case. But you can't get Admiral right now because I have to waste a tier to unlock that middle part in order to get the 2 nodes on the side. And it's going to be a waste because it's going to be a waste for this Fiend Hunt because it's a win Fiend Hunt. So in this case, you go with the second best option, which is Sword Queens. So in this case, I'll have Sword Queens full bond stat on the right side, and I'll select her as my bond. She will have DPS gears, so yeah, because she'll be the one doing damage as well in this team. And I have a tier 3 crit rate glove, so I don't crit fish that much. And now Rubia. Rubia would be the second most damage or pretty much first most damage in this team as well. So you would have her gear right here. In this case, I'll have her DPS as well. And tier 4 for crit rate. The reason why I have these 2 line of HP right here is so that she can meet the 6,420 HP so that she can tank level 13. And in this case, I'll have her maid because obviously these 3 triple lines actually affects this boss. And for the nodes, what I upgraded was her extended turn, which is the 2 from 4 to 6 turn, turning this buff to last longer. You'll see why. It'll affect turn 5 Pyrubia and turn 11 Pyrubia with the extra tick, last tick of the base Rubia. Now Angelica. Obviously Angelica in this case you'll have her pool party because the other one, Neon, will have light damage and you don't benefit from light damage. So the crit damage here is so that I can focus her gear on anything else while maintaining the maximum moment like crit damage right here. In this case 700%. So the line is just, like it's pretty much whatever you can get at this point to maintain that 700%. And the reason why I have her 13.2, again, she needs to be for level 13 to survive. I'll have her tank the pure damage, so she'll have 12. She needs 12.9k HP. So in this case, she checks it. Zenith team. This is gonna be the team that pre-buffs. It'll last for 2 turns. Zenith Invuln will carry over. Elise Defense Shred will last for 6 turns because it's plus 5, so it'll carry over. Gray's there is just for dot. Elise Eclipse is there for mini damage and SP, and Lucretia's there for SP as well. And the gear on them is just whatever you can slap on it, because this is going to be technically your 3rd team that does up to a mil. And in this scenario, no one's gonna have a full kitted team with tier 4. So yeah, I technically don't need gear on Gray. Gray only uses Vanguard, and in this case, Gray doesn't do damage. So yeah, so technically it was a waste of gear putting on Gray, but I just wanted to try out. Elise would probably, you want her gear as well, because her fire damage, she will do a little bit of damage up to a mil if possible, if she can crit. And Eclipse, obviously, she can at least do a mill with just her base alone. I could have technically swapped her necklace for a venomous touch, but I prefer crit rate because it's more consistent. So I have her 50%, and it's just pretty much I slap whatever gear I can have on her possible. She's not gonna be tanking anything, so she'll be at least doing damage. Now for Elise, if you want extra damage as well, the bottom stat I chose was the base one, so yeah, I can get the crit damage, attack, and I guess the defense, so she can meet the 90 defense. And her code O, it's nice, but I can't really afford it at the moment. Now your team 3, this is the one that does this 179 mil. In this case, Diana, you want at least 12.9 HP to tank the pure damage, so I have her 14.6. Lethal's gonna do damage in this case, so you have at least damage gear on him, and you need 6.4k to tank the pure damage, because he's fire, so he has the 50% wind resistant, so he'll take half of the damage. So yeah, and the lines I have are him on damage, as you can see, which my gear is perfect for this boss. Arnis, you can slap whatever gear on her. The only main thing you need to have is 90% defense, so she can just tank the 1 slash for you. So yeah, in this case I have it defense or HP as well, whichever gears I can find on her that's suitable. Celia, in this case, technically I could have had her damage as well, but I have her 90 defense just so she can survive, and I have a little bit of damage on her as well. And Leatrice, obviously your main damage, so in this case you throw your best gear on her because she'll be pretty much the carry of this party. So I have pretty much DPS gear on her. I don't need to care about defense or HP. She'll be taking a couple hits, but she's not gonna die. I choose Neon Stalker in this case because the attack and fire damage is pretty much insane. If I didn't have Neon, I would have Maid, and getting crit damage over fire damage in this case would be okay, but I would lose a little bit of damage, but it's okay. If I don't have either of these two, base is pretty much the only way to go, and you have the extra crit rate right there. Now for the nosedive upgrade, I did for Maid, obviously I upgraded all 3. This one for the tile is pretty much best for Fiend Hunt. This cooldown makes it so that you can cycle Maid 3 maids in a fight. SP reduction is always helpful, so you can get that tight SP rotation. And my last 2 nodes I wasted on is base. Since we didn't need the SP consumption, you can take the 2 last nodes for damage, so you can opt for more damage in this case. And this would be the setup for this Fiend Hunt. Now on to the run. Okay, so now we have the full run. We start with team 3, which is the your damage team. So in this case, the first turn I'll have both Cry and Helena getting ASP. This turn is just a buffing turn, so, and Angelica is just gonna do extra damage. And you need to notice where my Rubia is using Maid. So remember how I had Rubia's buff last for 6 turns? Starting now, this is one of the turns. So this is 2 turn use already. Maid still applies. Now I will trigger the C1 right here. So in this case, Neon will be triggering over here. Maid will go back using base. Then Sylvia will be tanking the C1 so that she can get hit most of the time. Cry will use Shred right here so that Sylvia can get optimal damage. and you have buffer for Helena right there to get your crit rate buff. And I also additionally applied the base right here, base Ruby right there. So now the boss will bleed as well. So yeah, that's 7 hits right there. I think they all crit. Now the boss would do 2 more extra hits. So in this case, well, technically 5 hits. So Cry and Helena will not survive. So I have to move them in the side. Rubia has to move on the side. The reason why is Angelica will be hitting in the middle with Pool Party. In this case, Rubia will do the chain. So in this case, Rubia will be weaker than Angelica in this case. And the reason why I don't have Sylvia in the middle is she'll trigger C2, and you don't want to trigger C2 because right here this is 3 and this is 9, and then if you hit in the middle, that's 10. So you move her in the side right here. You want Cry to hit on the left side with the bat, so it's SP, and there you go. And I start this mode. Sylvia will be the one taking silence, so it's fine because she has no other skills to use. She'll do damage too. Now in this case, next is now the boss will do this move. So only 2 of these, so Rubia and Angelica can tank. So I placed them in the middle. And Maid already ends, but the cooldown for Maid is up. So I use Maid to rebuff. Apply Cry Shred. And then I have Helena buff. And I move Helena back and Sylvia back because they cannot tank it. Only these 2 can tank. And this is why you have the HP above them. At least above. Oh, it's 6,000, yeah. And there you have it. And now you want Helena in the middle. This is where I'm going to trigger C2. Cry will apply the bleed. The reason why you want to Cry Bat is so that that last 2 turns will carry to the next team. You'll see why, because it's in turn 9. The boss will do his AoE skill to kill in turn 4, so the bleed will last to the next team. In this case, I want Admiral because of SP issues. And in this case, Rubia does more. Helena does not buff at all because you need 10 hits to trigger C2. Still know that Maid is still applied. Maid Rubia still has the buff applied. So I will still do damage with Rubia in this case. C2 is triggered. Dots would do more damage here. Now this is the last turn, so I use every single skills I have. And the reason why I can't use Cry is because the SP type, as you can see. And I need this 1 SP in case. So yeah. And in this case, Rubia still does more damage because she has Mate. Oh, I could have swapped Cry and Helena, but I didn't. But it's fine. It's pretty much a 1 extra chain loss, so yeah. But in this case, I was supposed to have Cry in the middle. So yeah. So that was my mistake right there. Now you have Zenith on the right side, then you have B Helena, and then 1 SP left. After that, I should have full 20. I send everyone to the middle, applying everything. Zenith on the right side with Eclipse doing base for extra damage. And with Eclipse, it's enough to trigger the middle for C2. It'll be over 10 hits. So I trigger C2 now, so I switch. And since I switch, this is where you want to have the burst. So I have Bunny here. You don't use base. You want to use Bunny because you won't have enough chain later on. After this turn, you see why. So I full buff right here, use Maid. My Maid is low cooldown, so I can cycle Maid 2 more times. So Maid did pretty much 8 mil less damage. She didn't crit. Now after that, since you had Celia have her Bunny, you can trigger the middle as well. And in this case, I have Lethal, Herb Lethal, move Arnis on the right side to have that one extra chain. In turn order, Lethal should be doing more damage in the middle than Leatrice because he self buffs. Lethal missed 1 crit in the left side, so it could have been 6.7 mil. And now the boss triggers C2, so his next move is this. So Celia's not gonna live, so I want Arnis to stay on the top left. So how I'm gonna make it so that Celia lives is, you guessed it, Diana. So I popped that Diana shield right there, giving at least 12k. And since this is not true damage, she'll tank it. And again, Maid versus Lethal. Lethal, even though it looks more, it doesn't factor in Lethal's attack buff. Now I play this round. Now this is the big damage, so Leisha should hit 50 mil. Okay, she missed 15 mil. Lethal got his 13 mil in. So Leatrice missed 15 mil right there, which is a huge damage loss. These 3 are silenced, and the next move is this skill. And because of this, these 2 are gonna die. But you don't, and because of that, you want to trigger C1. So in this case, I placed these 3, Diana, Celia, and Leatrice in the right side to trigger C1 and extra chain. Lethal move back so that he can hit that weak point. Arnis in front. And the reason why I said in the beginning Arnis having 9 defense, so she can take this blade. So no one else has to. And in this case, Arnis will buff, Leatrice goes down. No one can, the other 3 can't use a skill because they're silenced and SP reason. And you'll trigger pretty much C1 here. And since C1's triggered, you have no buff whatsoever. Move Leatrice in the middle so that she can apply the AoE buff. Celia will go on the right side, apply Bunny so she can set up for base and next turn. Lethal goes up, and then Arnis goes to the left side just for chain. Lethal and Diana will be here. Lethal will be Homunculus Lethal, and the HP pretty much fits so that they can survive the pure damage in this case. Now this is pretty much a lot of crit fishing because of Leatrice only has like 85% crit rate, even with full buff. So yeah. Now it goes to the last turn, which everyone's gonna wipe. So this is where you just burst normally. You have Arnis on the right side for that one extra chain. Diana buff. You already use base, so you already use bunny, so you can use base to stack more chain. Lethal will do pretty much Path of Revenge lethal, and then you just do mate right here. And again, by comparison, you think that mate does more in that tile, but it's lethal. The reason why is it doesn't factor the 50% attack buff. And this is where it's the burst. Usually it'll be around 17 mil total if it all crits. Lethal missed a crit, so yeah. And that's how I got rank 1. So yeah, I couldn't do this without the BD2 community. Special thanks to Sin, Snowy, and Ace for helping me calculate the damage and formalizing this team comp.